All right. Hopefully it's going to work. I'm going to do a tarot reading about Covid19. That's what we're calling it these days, I guess. The current pandemic around the world. I'm using a Thoth deck. And we'll do the Celtic Cross. Now, I'm not going to use a significator with this Celtic Cross. Well, I might want to choose the Seven of Cups from the Thoth deck. Might be an appropriate significator, especially since it's a lung thing. Although maybe, Three of Swords might also work around air, sort of air issue. But Eight of Swords, a number of things. But I'm going to go with no significator. We'll just see what the first card out is. And so I'm really after random. I'm going to do okay, what I'd like to do is cut the deck into three, choose the middle generally, and take peeks for hints. Six of Swords, labeled Science here, interestingly enough. And then Ace of Swords, Moon. That seems appropriate too, the mystery and the worry. Now I could just lay them out, but I'm going to go for another level of random and choose my 10 cards at random this way, one by one. Virus, mankind. I don't need to know just about me and my family. I'm really questioning now the whole big picture situation. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, here somewhere, 8, 9, 10. That one. This is obviously, interference. Where are you going, Boo? Man, don't stay there too long. Come on, Momo. Come on. Oh, no. Come on. Off you go. Off you go. Just gonna help. Boo will help. Okay? Shh. Just chill. You want to be here and chill. Okay, because we got what we need here. Okay. Norman's going to help. Okay. So, the first card drawn, the Empress, crossed by 3 of Pentacles. What covers us, basis of the matter, recent past, what's ahead, current situation, environment, outcome. interesting, what I'm finding interesting right away is the first card down is the Empress. So the suggestion here is, what's the Empress? Mother Earth. So the suggestion here is that it's a natural process. It calls to mind what little I've read about it is it started in China. It came from animals, but it mutated, a virus that mutated. Not a lot, it's not like we can blame this on anything. Mutation like that is just kind of really random. It's not because of lack of sanitary conditions or this or that or other rationalizations. A mutation is a mutation. There's been, and to think that the Empress here is suggesting to me natural processes and Mother Earth calls to mind as well. I mean, we've certainly been reading about things like receding glaciers and thawing permafrost in both in around the Antarctic and the Arctic, and there's been a discussion about germs or microbes and viruses being thawed out that from the dawn of time. Certainly from pre-Ice Age viruses and stuff are potentially microbes are being released, and that the idea that this is essentially kind of a natural process, and I've read in a couple places where this is a fast mutating virus, Covid19, that there's already like 2 different strains that humans may be susceptible to. There could be branching off of other strains that could in fact impact other animals. And like the, not equating it with the flu, common flu, but like various flu viruses, it is not unusual for there to be several strains going through a population at one time. And your flu vaccine, if you're a flu vaccine person, could be getting a vaccine for one strain that doesn't work for another strain. So I think this idea here is crossed by the Three of Pentacles, which of course Crowley labels it works. So I often like to see the crossing card in the Celtic cross. Of course, the traditional idea of the crossing card is that it can be viewed as what's in the way. But it can also be what's decided against, or the path not taken. But in this context here, I feel it shows the Three of Pentacles, and labeled the works by Crowley, is really about what's in the way, or the problem here is that it's the devastation to the economy, worldwide economics. It doesn't matter if it's if the economy is quasi socialist like China, or communist, or capitalist, or social kind of socialist in government involved economy. It's really impacting economics in general, just because things are based upon squeezing the effort out of the populace, and that can't be done now. not in a safe way. So let's move on. However, maybe there's some more specific clues we can gain here. And we'll get back to that when we start blending the cards with their neighbors, etc. So, got this idea, natural process that is interfering with social systems. Maybe that's a better way of saying it, just because Works card here is more than just the economy. Social systems, that, and what's crowning it. Okay, the Three of Cups here at the top. Abundance. So, of course, in general, oftentimes the Three of Cups comes up around a celebration, or certainly shared ideals around feelings and what makes groups feel good. And interesting, conversely, what we have going on here is sort of quite the opposite in our cultures and society. It's not making people feel good, it's making people feel bad, literally, when they get sick, and the loved ones and everyone around, that there's a degree of, we could say, panic, or I do not use reversals, but I think the meaning here, this Three of Cups, might be better suited to be reversed, actually, because it's on one hand, there's a coming together emotionally. It is causing, the Three of Cups right side up, is the issues, the difficulties that we all, a collective, are experiencing through this, is hopefully drawing people together. It's kind of creating a cooperation out of necessity. Interesting enough, the cooperation is through mutual isolation and not connecting what we would have thought of as closely, that we're connecting through internet, we're connecting through our shared hopes and desires to make things better, for healing. Certainly the Three of Cups in general is a card of healing as well, can be. So in that context, it's kind of idealism now, hopefulness, and that seems to be winning the way here. That people wouldn't be cooperating with like the governmental edicts about isolation and quarantine and curfews, etc. Unless they really thought there was some hope here to that we're going to get through this, to get to the other side of this. So we'll get back to that. The basis of the matter. The card of grounding, Earth of Earth, the Princess of discs in the Crowley deck, but Princess of Earth, Princess of Coins, Princess of Pentacles, Page of Pentacles. And here she has a crystal. She is connecting to Earth energy. She's Earth of Earth. Driven wax here. She's grounded. So the basis of the matter, and this is another idea here that, to me, just my opinion, and what the reading suggests to me is, again, this is a natural process, this idea of these viruses mutating to now suddenly have an impact on us humans. It's a natural process, that it wasn't created in somebody's kind of disease weapons underground kind of secret research here. It's not China trying to wipe out the competition. That this is it's not some Illuminati plot here. It's just a natural process that with issues like global warming going on, or at least climate change, if you prefer to call it, a lot of shifts and changes going on in our planet's and humanity's evolution, that stuff like this is going to happen. And almost as though that this is kind of a rehearsal for some bigger changes, even bigger than this. So, and that this is idea of a rehearsal seems like rather severe to just be a rehearsal. Excuse me, plugs coming up. That because we got another princess here as the recent past, and princess or page of swords or heir as what's been going on recently. So this is how it's dominating. It's in the airwaves, right? It's all over the place. You can't escape it. It's on the news 24/7. It's people are talking about it. It's about, the swords, of course, are about communication, but also about thinking. And that really is kind of a new way of thinking. I mean, I'm old enough that I've lived through times of paranoia before, and I got to admit I'm a little bit jaded about it. I'm not really all that worried about it. When I was a little kid in the 60s in the States, we actually had like atomic bomb drills with 6-year-olds in the basement of the school trying to cover their back of their heads and crouching down for practice about, not that that's going to help you when you get evaporated, but, but there was a lot to worry about. I haven't really been through an experience like this with the economy, like wholesale shutting down of businesses, people staying in, not, financial crisis for a vast majority of people. Things like this, I've never seen it before, but we certainly used to have lots to worry about. I mean, in the 60s, the Cuban Missile Crisis, atomic war, in the 80s too, right up into the fall of the USSR, we were worried sincerely about the potential for the planet to be turned into a ball of glass. So, this pandemic is, nature's going to survive the pandemic. A lot of people, though, aren't. So it's definitely a kind of showing here a new way of thinking, a new saying, what are the pages? Pages are beginnings. So the basis of the matter suggests nature, but it also saying we're looking at new ways of thinking, new ways of economics, new ways of people kind of being able to draw their sustenance and their incomes, new ways of thinking, new ways of communicating, new ways of going about it. And that there's cannot, then put the 3 of Cups in the flow here, and you go from this natural processes into spurring new ways of thinking, new way of communicating, new, and into the 3 of Cups, saying whether that's reversed or straight up, it's saying kind of that there's a sharing involved of we're all in this together kind of concept. And where does it go? Into the Knight of Discs here. Prince of Discs. which is the Knight of Pentacles in other decks, Knight of Coins, Prince of Discs, as what's next. And so I get the idea, what comes to mind right away is this idea of rolling out. And that's kind of in this image here on the Chariot of sorts. And interesting that he's got his, there's like a globe in his hand. And so what's rolling out here is a new level of kind of international cooperation. That's not from the UN, that's not from some quote unquote, paranoid New World Order stuff here. What it is, it's coming from the roots, from the grassroots, from people, from medical people, from people trying to help each other. We're getting a rolling out of this new perspective, which is what I really like the word about, new perspective there. We'll use that for the Princess of Swords. From this new perspective is rolling out a new kind of way of handling material concerns. So it's saying that we're going to see a lot of injection of resources, because it seems governments aren't going to have really any choice. They got to loosen the purse strings. They got to kind of see that people are looked after to at least some degree. Obviously, that's going to go better in some places than others. But I think with the perspective here of worldwide, we got this a rolling out of opening the vaults a little bit here around financial resources, material resources, basic resources of medicines, foods, shelter, that sort of thing. I think it's this coming together is seeing that it's we're not going to solve this by competing. Competition is not the way. It's all about cooperation, and really it seems that to me that governments are going to have to acquiesce that we got to help our people, or this, because it's the structures of government and the structures of culture that just are going to be the first to go, the first to fall, especially since really interesting that this virus does not seem to be impacting young people with the pages. It's impacting the old farts like me up here. That the kings and queens are the ones that are the matrons, and the people who think that they are have been maybe seduced by power are the ones that are vulnerable here. So that results in this shift. What's going on? We get the Eight of Wands in the situation now, which Corley labels swiftness. So it's definitely saying that whatever is happening now. It's happening fast. So reflecting back on when I cut the deck, I had the moon, and I don't remember now. I'll have to look at this. Well, the Six of Swords, which was labeled science. So let's move that through. So the swiftest usually doesn't have a lot to say, but it is saying fast communications, fast travel, fast things are going to be happening quickly, and just what happens quickly. Well, the environment, for the environment, King of Swords here for the environment. Of course, the Crowley labels the Knight, but it's the King. Thank you. King of Swords. And So this position can be looked at as the home or environment, which is in the air, obviously. They say it's not airborne, but of course it's airborne. It's little droplets in the air. If somebody coughs near you, it's in the air, and then it's on the surfaces. So it travels through the air when in social situations. So what we got here is the environment is, again, this idea of, we got swiftness followed, I'm just noticing that, swiftness followed by the Knight of Swords, which is also Mr. Helicopter Man on a flying horse. So we got doubly emphasized the speed of developments here. And it's saying that things are going to expand quickly. It's saying that there's targets. Now, the targets aren't, the targets are us. The targets are lung tissue, which is where this thing likes to live. But it also suggests to me that those places and nations that are not taking it that seriously or have been slow on the uptake, which probably could include things like Russia and even USA and Australia, where there wasn't a lot of action, where there was resistance to restrictions. Look how fast it's devastating in Iran and Italy, even though they're willing to have restrictions there. So it's saying that there's going to be, things are going to move really quickly. And it seems to me that what we're looking at is a new, so hopes and fears, interesting. I always wondered about that, hopes and fears in the same position for the Celtic cross, our Knight of Pentacles or Discs, in other words, King of Pentacles. Let's just get right into that outcome of the Eight of Discs or Eight of Pentacles, which we have, of course, I always forgot, Prudence, labeled as Prudence by Crowley. So things moving quickly, and like the hopes are that things settle down. Things could go from this really, first two cards meaning really swift movement into a couple cards meaning things kind of slow down, and back to the earth kind of idea here. So it's like this rollout of help in the future here over the next month and a half. In about a month and a half, I think I like this position for. We have almost as though this Knight of Pentacles here matures into the King of Pentacles, into an established kind of new kind of way for people to be, and a new economic reality, and that things seem to me move pretty quickly towards that, relatively speaking. Of course, the Eight of Pentacles is very much a card of healing. It is very much a card of looking after yourself, as well as things like nutrition and and rest, things that are needed for health. But it's also practice and work, and trying. It's as though this is going to be ongoing, and but it's not so much the this Covid-19 that is ongoing. I think it is, however, the idea that there could be some other events coming into the picture. As this thing settles down, it's like something else, to the point where that things are never going to be as they were. that there's going to be new methods and ways of doing things for seeing that people are can live and are housed and can have sustenance, etc., the necessities of life, even if there isn't a booming economy, if there's not jobs, and that this is going to be a new kind of way. So let's kind of, in summary here, and I might need to move some other cards because this is it's not that what I was hoping for. I was like, where's the, what's going to go on with this one? What is this one? We're going to pull another card for this night. Adjustment or justice. I just need a comment. I need a comment. And what are people going to be in the world? So it's going to be over, but it's not going to be over. A couple things. I get a couple things here. So natural processes, new ways of thinking and communicating, and levels of cooperation not before seen, systems crashing, systems not working, a rollout of some solutions and help for people. Things are moving quickly. Laws need to be changed, adjusted with that justice card hint there, but also maybe something new coming in, that there's a maturing of the new kind of systems, our economics, a new way of looking at things about distribution of necessities and commerce and stuff are going to be different. And it's a process. It's a process with this Eight of Pentacles that is going to be ongoing. And why is it going to be ongoing? Because there's going to be some other issues here. It looks as though it's the world here. It's again from Mother Earth to the world or the universe, and Crowley's deck. The World card as well, though. So a couple things. I think there is going to be some science around this. There's going to be like some help with treatments. I got a feeling there could be an attempt at a vaccine. However, the way this thing mutates, it seems like it could get right around a vaccine pretty readily. So I think that they're going to be putting more stake in different kind of treatments that aren't necessarily vaccines. Although I think there will be a vaccine, but as to how effective that is when things mutates quickly would remain to be seen, and it seems like not that effective. That the timeline on this is, I think the Three of Cups and the Three of Pentacles here is saying kind of this is going to take like 3 months before it sort of begins to settle down, or kind of that when, of course, they talk about flattening the curve to save lives, but by flattening the curve to save lives, we are also extending the time period for stringent measures to be in place. So that's what I think these threes are saying, like 3 months, because a month and a half, 2, 3, until things sort of settle down with the King of Pentacles. That beyond that, we're going to be trying to get back to work with the Prudence card as an outcome. And then the universe says there's like a return, or as though it mutates, it kind of comes back again. in a different form. And I think if you look into like the Spanish flu back in 1918 to 20 something, that happened there as well. That there was a wave, it went through, people thought that's over, and then it comes through again, maybe with a slight mutation or something, and was even worse the second time. So I'm not saying that's specifically what's going to happen here, but it certainly doesn't seem to go away. It's saying there's a new kind of mutation or something else that seems to again have an impact. But when I say something else, of course, I think we could also be looking at increases in Earth movements, which is around the Mother Earth here too, and the Universe card around there's other things going on, and because we're entering, I think it's pretty obvious that this pandemic is representative of a transformational, not representative, it is a transformational influence that's transforming human society and humanity's sort of consciousness. And in a sense, it can only be raising our consciousness because people are becoming more aware of their reliance upon each other and their chains of production and their people that are there to provide that production, and a greater sense of community that is going to supersede what selfish individualism just kind of doesn't cut it, and means you're more likely to die. So I think what this shows here is I think what it's sort of showing it's not a positive thing, but it's here. So and it's now, and it's moving fast. So whether it's positive or negative, it's both. It's not either. But it's here, and it's with us, and it's changing us, and it's changing our world in a very big way. And there's another way of looking at, I like to count these as sort of months when I do the Celtic cross, but there's another way of going years too. 1, 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years. So in that context, it's like seems like something else that is similar to this that comes next year, 2021, 2022, that really kind of is going to, because if this ain't a one-off, if this is the new pattern for a while, what our King of Pentacles here is saying, that it takes kind of 3 years for us to kind of get into a working kind of system, a different kind of functional system that is there for people. And so that's what I got. Thank you.